How much life insurance do you need once you're about to retire or going into retirement? It's a great question, My man Tim asks, and I'm just going to read it to you. He goes, hey, Josh, when you're approaching retirement, in my case, 1 to 3 years, how much life insurance do you need? And then when you are in retirement, how much life insurance do you need? Between a term life plan and a group life plan through work, I'm spending about $400 a month on life insurance. I know there must be a lot of consideration of whether or not you need life insurance and how much. I'd like to hear your thoughts and sage advice. So I want to talk about this because this is an area that's, there is no science whatsoever behind this right here. None. You'll talk to these life insurance purveyors and they're going to have this life needs analysis. And I've always, even before I knew what the heck I was doing, I always hated that because they say, well, you want to have your kids go to college, don't you? You want to make sure your wife does this, right? And I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. And it'd be like $18 million. I was like, what, huh? And it's always because what they do is they say, when you die, you're going to have this certain amount of money that you're going to have, and then they're going to pull 5% a year off that or something like that. I said, that doesn't make it literally made no sense to me. It was this huge amount of money that you needed for life insurance when they did these life insurance needs analysis. And it was always based on the idea that you're never touching the principal. And I was like, why? I'm telling you, go to any life insurance needs analysis tool, especially by someone who's selling life insurance, and you'll be... It's like the investment industry that says you need $5 million to retire. And if you don't have $5 million, you're going to be destitute. It's the exact same thing. And it always ticked me off, not going to lie to you. All right, so here's my rule of thumb. And this is just old Josh. This isn't, again, there's no science behind any life insurance needs analysis. None. So stop that right now. All the life insurance people are watching this and there is this. No. There is none. All right, so I'm going to show you what I think. It's that simple. I think at the end of the day, you need enough to pay off the mortgage and leave your surviving spouse for 2 years of income. So for simplicity, you got a mortgage, not the mortgage, the debt. You got a mortgage and you got debt. All right? And then that's your total debt right there, $550,000. And you're making $75,000 a year. So 75. So in this case, we need, what's that? $700,000. Wow, I didn't expect it to be that clean, but there you go. Yeah, you can see that. That's how much life insurance you need. You have enough to pay off your debt and leave your surviving spouse for 2 years. Why for 2 years? Because that gives her, or him, but her in my case, 2 years to a year, a couple months to freaking party hardy because no longer have to deal with crazy old Josh. But it also takes time to get back in the workforce. It does. It takes time to get back in the workforce. But Josh is used to living off $75,000 a year. Is he going to be able to go and get a job that pays $75,000 a year? No. But guess what? The debt's paid off. That's the whole point. The debt is paid off. She doesn't need to go find a job making $75,000 a year like I was making because there is no debt. That's the whole point of paying off the mortgage and paying off all the debt. So 2 years of getting her stuff back together, getting clear, getting the brain cleared to some degree, whatnot. 2 years of that, and then having no debt paid off. And I'm just telling you, that's my rule of thought on that. Rule of thumb has always been have enough to pay off all debt and 2 years of income. If you can do that, you're fine, without question. And I do think there is something to be said about this is the other, what some of the life insurance purveyors will say. And I actually 100% agree with this. Well, how about watching the kids? Because now if she was staying home, there's no one else to watch the kids. So, no, I actually believe that. That's one thing I think we might want to add a little bit more to the mix. So she has $700,000 of life insurance. And who's going to take care of the kids when she's getting a job, at $35,000 a year? So now she's only made, that's the life insurance she needs, that she gets. But she still has $35,000 a year of income, which is half of what she was getting before. All right, so that's. But now she's got the kids. Someone's got to watch them because she's going to work full time. All right, so you say, okay, I need 5 years of babysitters and nannies or whatnot at $35,000 a year times 5. And the only reason I say $35,000, that's like $3,000 a month. That's probably what it costs for private. Literally, I have no idea, but that could be what it costs for private school. after school programs, nannies, the whole thing is probably less than that, significantly less. But we'll just say, okay, so we need 5 years of $35,000. What's that? $105,000. So you can add another $105,000 to this. Okay, so you got $800,000. We'll just say $800,000 life insurance. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's pretty simple. But I do get that. I think that's one of the issues I find a lot of times with me. Let's just say, now my wife is working now. We need the insurance benefits. Insurance. The bane of my existence. I just got an email from the lady that says, ooh, we gave you the MRI, but we didn't have it pre-approved, so you got to contact your insurance company to find out what's going on, how to tell them about your accident. It's like, well, I thought we did that before I scheduled the stupid thing. You told me to do that. Oh, it annoys me. All right, anyway, and if they don't pay, what's going to happen? I got paid for it? I'm like, well, I would never done it if I knew it was going to cost me this. But that's why we need Medicare for all, right? No! That's why we need a voucher program. I'm telling you, the cost would be reduced dramatically in a voucher program. All right, so going back to this. For me, back in the day when I was working, making pretty good money, and my wife was staying home raising the crumb crunchers, i.e. the tax credits. A lot of people would say, oh, my wife doesn't need insurance. I say, why? She says, because she's not working. There's no income to replace. I said, yeah, exactly. That's why she needs life insurance, because she's not replacing income. She's actually replacing the labor, not the income, the labor, and the labor is more valuable than the income. So if she died, who's going to watch the kids? Right now you're working, making $100,000 a year, which is great, so your wife can stay home and watch the kids. Now she's dead, you're still working, making $100,000 a year, you still got this mortgage though, so you still need that income, but now you got kids. Who's going to watch them? Who's going to get them off the bus? Who's going to watch them after school? Who's going to do this? Yeah, exactly. Get your stay-at-home spouse life insurance as well. So, all right, so Tim says, look, how about going into retirement? Well, here it gets actually pretty simple. Because here I say, look, if you're in retirement and you have no debt, then who needs insurance? Now, and because don't forget, folks, insurance gets more and more expensive the older you get, which is actually the benefit of whole life, getting a whole life policy when you're young, because you're getting it when it's the cheapest is when you're young. So you're not getting a whole life policy now. Tim, he's 1 to 3 years away from retirement. He could convert his current life insurance over to a permanent policy, build cash value in there, but it's going to be expensive, man. I'm just assuming he's 62 years old. That life insurance is going to be expensive. His group life policy that he gets, I'm telling you right now, that sucker's gone when he retires. So basically, the only thing that we have with Tim is just having a debt. If the answer is 0, then I just want to get any life insurance, because now instead of replacing his income, because now he's retired, instead of replacing his income with life insurance like I told you before, remember we replaced 2 years of income, but now he's got no debt hopefully, but instead of replacing his income, he'll have his Social Security kicking in, survivor benefits will kick in to replace the income of his demise. Does that make sense? So basically, the issue here is you had 2 years of income replacement plus all your debt paid off. I'm 49, going on 49, so survivor benefits won't kick in for Charlotte for many, many years to come. So I need life insurance to pay off the debt and give her 2 years. I need that for a fact. For Tim, because he's, let's say 62, 63, something like that, and because he probably also has 401k assets and things like that nature, the only thing that's going to replace his income would be his Social Security survivor benefits, and his wife has access to his 401k IRA and all that too. Now, Charlotte would too, don't get me wrong, because if she doesn't roll it to her own name, she doesn't get hit with a 10% penalty, because it's at death is one of the exceptions to the pre-59.5 rule for 10% penalty. So you never want to roll it to your own name if you're under the age of 59.5. So she has access to it as well, but she doesn't have access to any income stream coming in, because she won't get survivor benefits until she's at the earliest 60 years old. So again, it's a little bit different here, but if you're going into retirement, if you have no debt, you're going to retirement, you don't need life insurance. Now, I want to say, what if you did have a debt? We'll say $250,000 of a mortgage. All right, so let's just say at $250,000 of a house. Well, Tim was saying it's paying $400 a month, man. So that's costing him $400 a month and that's not going to get cheaper. It's just going to get progressively more and more expensive. What I would do is I'd take the gamble and just start paying that more towards the mortgage. I'd cancel the insurance and pay it more and more. That's tough, because the minute he dies, his wife say, Josh told him not to have the insurance. I'm not telling anybody not to do that. Look, you do what you got to do, my friends. I am not giving you any advice on this whatsoever, because the minute you hear this and a freaking boulder falls on Tim's head, and now all of a sudden his wife is stuck with a $250,000 mortgage and no life insurance, she'll look at me. No, not saying do that. Not saying do that. If that were me, I'd take my $400 a month, because that's going to get to $500 a month. That's going to get to $600 a month each and every year as he gets older. And then, of course, once he retires anyway, there is no, he's not going to have group life insurance. But you can roll that over. Yeah, well, trust me, man. As 66-year-old man rolling the group life insurance over to a permanent policy, yeah, it's not going to happen. I'm just telling you right now. So he'd have a small term policy that's going to, it's just not going to be, it's not going to be cheap. It's going to be cost prohibitive. There's no other way around that. So in this case, if he has a debt, she'll still get her survivor benefits, but that's another challenge of not having, why you should not have debt in retirement, because the cost to insure you is incredibly expensive, and that money could be, in my opinion, better spent just paying off the debt instead. So there's a lot going on there, my friends, but I'm just telling you right now, the ideal thing is not to have debt, because if you don't have debt, you don't have to worry about it. Your wife will get the survivor benefits, or your husband will get the survivor benefits, and that'll be more than adequate to help live without having life insurance, because you get to save the extra $400 or $500 a month. Lastly, I do want to say life insurance, the best thing about life insurance, on top of having significantly cheap policy or coverage for cheap amount of money when you're young and healthy, is a wonderful way to create an estate to leave something to your heirs or to the church. I can't stress this enough. I've done other videos on this before. But some people say, hey, I'll say, you don't need the life insurance. Let's use my man Tim, say he's got no debt. But let's just say he's charitably inclined, all right? And I've used this a million times a Sunday, but I just figure I'm yapping on it. I'll keep talking about it. Life insurance transfers tax-free, all right? So life insurance tax-free to heirs, all right? 401k money transfers tax-free to charity. So what we'd want to do is to say we have $500,000 of 401k that we want to leave to my heirs, taxable. Bad. What we want to do instead is we want to say, that's a 401k, by the way, is we want to get $500 of life insurance. And I don't know how much it costs. Literally, we'll say, we'll go back to Tim, $400 a month. All right, that seems pretty expensive, but let's just say it did. So now we say, no, we're not going to have this going here. We're going to have this going there, the charity, and then that $500,000 of life insurance will go to the heirs tax-free, because life insurance transfers tax-free to the heirs. Now, the drawback in this scenario is that could progressively go. So now, now it's not $500,000. Let me do it down here. Now it's $1 million. And you don't want that. You got to keep your eye out, because we don't want $1 million going to charity and $500,000 going to your heirs. So you want to just keep your eyes on the prize. And the way you do that is you actually start taking distributions out. You pay the tax while you're in the lowest tax bracket ever. And if you don't need the money, you start doing gifting to the heirs. Gifting strategy is a wonderful way to reduce your estate. Take advantage of the annual exclusions of $15,000, which are free and clear of any gift tax. If you go above the $15,000, it doesn't matter, because you have this $11 billion exemption right now anyway. So a lot going on in this strategies, but these are good strategies to work on with a financial planner. Wow, who could that be? Your old buddy Josh. The issue is, though, how much you want to leave to charity. Look, for most middle-class people, they'd like to leave something to charity, but they're not going to take on a $300 or $400 or $500 a month payment in order to leave a significant amount of money to charity, especially if they're kind of cash flow, they're a little bit tight to begin with. I mean, they could. I think most people could. They just don't recognize it. But for me to sit here and say, oh, Tim, you're getting ready to go retirement. Here's $500 a month to buy a life insurance policy in which to leave to charity. Tim's like, man, I'm just hoping I can get buying $4,000 a month. That's probably not. It's probably going to be a bridge too far for sure. But that is one of the benefits of life insurance, that you can use it to incorporate estate planning. And if you have excess cash flow and you're married, you'd really want to consider a second to die policy, a survivor life insurance policy. Actually, one of the things that ticked me off about Policy Genius, and I think I told you they reached out to me to sponsor them. I'm not sure I want to do that now, because I emailed them and said, hey, do you all have second to die life insurance policies? And they're like, oh, no, we don't have that, but we recommend 2 individual life insurance policies instead. I said, no, that's bad that's bad advice. That's bad. Life insurance, I'm telling you, man, a second to die policy is a whole heck of a lot less expensive than 2 individual policies, because it only pays out at the death of the surviving spouse. It doesn't pay out at the death of the first spouse who dies. And so if you have Josh and Charlotte, and we each have $250,000 of life insurance, well, the likelihood of me dying before her is pretty high. Thus, my life insurance A is going to be more expensive, and the reason for that is because B is likely to pay out. And so it pays out. Yeah, it will be tax-free to Charlotte, but it's a lot more expensive, and we're not trying to give her life insurance. That's not the point. The point is at the death of the survivor, in this case Charlotte, she's a woman, she's 4 years younger than me, she will have a life insurance to give to the charity. But because it doesn't pay out at my death, only on her death, there's more premiums that the insurance company gets. And because of that, they have less, they don't need to charge as much because they have more premiums stretched out for a longer period of time, which means that they'll cost us less in order to do what we're trying to do, which is give money, give money to the kids tax-free from our estate, so we can leave our 401k to the charity. A lot going on there, but just having a life insurance expert not know that is bothersome, frankly. It really is. I was like, yeah, that's exactly the wrong answer. So anyway, it's just a lot going on there, life insurance. Don't overlook life insurance as a component of your estate plan. I'm telling you right now, don't do that, because it has some wonderful, wonderful benefits. It really does. But you really got to make sure you got the cash flow to take care of it for sure. And if you have the cash flow and you want to leave an estate, create an estate to leave to charity, I mean, I'm telling you, man, how do you think Jerry Falwell, and a lot of people can't stand the guy, but that's how he funded Liberty University. Did you know that? He took out all these whole life policies when he was like in the 50s or something like that, like millions of dollars on him, and all those proceeds went off to fund Liberty University. It's nuts. And it's a wonderful mechanism in order to leave to charity. And I would even say to combat some of the progressivism that's sneaking into society by them using their money to establish, the Sierra Club, to establish the unfortunately, the ACLU has gone insane, but all these are funded by rich donors. And middle class people feel we don't have the money to combat some of that crazy stuff. Well, one of the ways you do is with life insurance. Jerry Falwell is a perfect example. Look, I'm not the biggest. Look, I just, at the end of the day, you don't have to love Jerry Falwell. I don't have to love Jerry Falwell. At the end of the day, he funded Liberty University using life insurance. It's tax free. That's absolutely what happened. Is he funded Liberty University using life insurance? You might not like it, but Liberty University is an alternative to the craziness on mainstream college campuses today. And as we can use that in a lot of different realms for sure. Discovery Institute out of Seattle. All right, now they're on intelligent design, but they do believe in a creator, and they're academics, PhDs, physicists, the whole thing. They're out there trying to establish the idea of intelligent design. You might not like ID, that's fine, but someone's got to fund these guys, and there can be middle class Americans using life insurance as the opportunity to do that. The C.S. Lewis Institute, same exact thing. Someone's got to fund the apologists who are defending the Christian faith, because it's under attack from every single realm. A lot of it is being under attack by taxpayer subsidies, and we don't get those subsidies. So someone's got to step up into this, into the grind, into the battle, and say we're going to fund these things to keep the apologists. And again, apologism is the defense of it, is the defense of Christianity, or the defense of whatever it is that you're talking about. And that's how life insurance can be used for wonderful, wonderful, good things. But it takes initial money to pay for the premium. And the question is, do you have that initial money? If you do, you might want to think about it. If you don't, then don't worry about it. That's what it ultimately comes down to. So anyway, a lot more long-winded than I anticipated, but I hope this helps. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear you put them in the show notes. We can certainly dive into this in more detail. If you're interested in this kind of stuff and more planning using life insurance, hell, I'd be happy to run some different scenarios on it. I actually like life insurance as a part of estate planning and overall financial planning. I think it's way overlooked and undervalued, but it really is cash flow contingent. So if you want me to look at some more life insurance videos to how to use that as estate planning to establish an estate, man, I'd love to do that. All right, we'll see you next time.